Okay. Uh, in the unit number 2, we are going to cover the topics which are listed here. Okay, the hardware and infrastructure. In this, there are subtopics: the clients, securities, and the network and services. Out of these four, the clients we will study, and the remaining these three we will study in the later part. Then the accessing the cloud. Accessing the cloud, what type of the technologies are used for the platforms, for developing the web applications, for developing the web APIs and the web browsers. Okay. Then the cloud storage. In this cloud storage, we will look into the different providers who are providing the cloud storage services basically. Okay, and the standards. The standards here implement that the type of standards which are essential in order to develop the applications, clients, infrastructure, and the services. So basically, these standards are for the above three different parts of the technologies. The first one, the hardware and the infrastructure, the clients. Right? We have already studied the clients part in the first unit. Right? Clients are basically are the devices, right, which a user uses in order to just get connected to the internet and then use the services which have been hosted by the cloud computing service providers. Right? So the clients can be of a three different types: mobile client, thin client, and thick client. Okay, can anyone tell me what are the different mobile clients? Can anyone recall? Mobile clients?
So application running on Android or iOS.
Yes, the handheld devices, right? Those are the applications, the devices which we use as a handheld devices, like the mobile, the smartphones, which are running on the Android and or the iOS. In the earlier days, it was the PDAs, right? The PDAs with having the internet connectivity, we're having access to the web applications like the online Word document, online spreadsheets, right? Those are the mobile clients. The thin and thick clients we have already studied, isn't it? The thin clients are what type of devices? What it contains?
Computers not having the internal hard drives.
Yes, the computers not having the internal hard drives. Exactly. And what about the thick client? The thick clients are the regular computers which have the hard drives. Okay. Now here, what I have done is that the things which we have studied in the previous unit was more focusing upon the thin clients. Okay. Now, for the point of your examination, this particular slide is important, wherein we will look into the differences between thin and thick clients. Okay, already we know the concept of a thin clients. What are there in the we know the features of the thin clients. Then we just try to compare those features with respect to the thick client and put the differences between them. Okay, very self-explanatory concepts are there. You can just go one by one. The first one, thin clients, as per the definition, they do not contain the hard drive, whereas the thick client do contain the hard drives. And definitely, since the thin clients are not having the hard drives, the price of these particular thin clients are less compared to the thick clients. So the less priced are the thin clients and the high priced are the thick clients. The thin clients, since there is no hard drive, then it contains very less hardwares, whereas the thick client contains comparatively more hardware. Okay, then last longer before they need to be upgraded or become obsolete. Do you understand the meaning of this fourth difference, students? Do you know the meaning of this the fourth one? Last longer before they need to be upgraded or become absolute. At least you can answer yes or no. If you don't know also, you can answer it no.
No, sir.
Right? So these type of devices, suppose if there is an upgrade, if we need to update the entire devices and all, then we no need to upgrade those devices infrequently, because most of the entire activity will be taken care at the server side. All the computations and everything will be taken care at the server side. Then there will be very less upgrades that we need to do it on the software of the thin clients. Okay, so we can say that we need not to do any type of the upgrades once we buy the thin clients. But whereas on the thick clients, it is different. We need to keep on updating the softwares, because sometimes we may need to install some additional softwares which how to make that particular thick client to be compatible with the cloud computing architectures. So the updates are shorter in the thick clients, whereas in the thin clients they are for the longer times. Okay, and the thin clients completely managed at the server side. All the activities, all the things which are required to work on the thin clients will be completely managed at the server side itself. But whereas in the thick client, we can manage on the clients itself. Certain tasks have to be managed on the system itself in the thick clients. Okay, fewer points of the failures we can find it in the thin clients, right? Because there will be very less hardwares. Most of the activities will be performed directly onto the server side, so there will be very fewer failures. Comparatively, on the other hand, the thick clients will be having a higher failures. Less chance of malware attack on the thin clients, because the data is not stored on the local system. So even if there is a malware attack, it is not going to happen on the data, because it is nothing will be saved on the system. Whereas on the other side, the thin clients, we can store the data on the local system, and if we do so, and if there is a malware attack, then the data may get corrupted, right? Then the next point, the less chance of thin client being physically stolen, right? People won't steal this particular thin clients because they don't work without the server. If we need to work on the thin clients, then the corresponding server should be up and running on the other hand, and there should be a proper credentials that we need to use on the thin clients. If it is even stolen, then that particular device cannot be used for any other work apart from whatever it is intended for. But on the other hand, thick clients, even if it is getting stolen, the physical parts can be used. Like, since it contains the hard drive can be taken and it can be used for some other activities, right? Then, since the data is stored on the server side, very less chance of data being lost in the thin clients. Suppose if we think that a system crashes, right? Then even the system crashes, data is not hampered on the thin clients, because we just use it as an interface to access the data. Since the data is already saved on the server side, even if some data, the system gets crashed in the thin clients, then data will be permanently saved on the server side, so no problem with the data. But on the other hand, we may face issues if the system gets crashed in the thick clients. Okay, and the other 3 points are straightforward points. You can just read through those. I have just tried to elaborate the features of the thin clients and put in more number of points over here, because you may get a question for 10 marks wherein you need to you need to get the more number of differences in order to get the more marks. If you know the concept of a thin client and the features of those, and you can elaborate yourself and then write the differences. And also this particular slide will give you, suppose if there is a question asked, explain thick clients for 5 marks, then the right hand side differences, these particular details will give you the corresponding answer for that. Okay. I have not stressed much on these things because already we have studied the concept of thin clients. Okay, so now moving on to the next one. Accessing the cloud. So in the accessing the cloud, what actually we mean here is that the number of the development tools which are required to build the applications and the browsers that allows us to access these applications. We're going to look into two different parts. One is the tools or the technologies which are available to develop the cloud services, and on the other side the browsers which are available for us to use those particular services. As we know that in the cloud computing, the service company, the hosting company will have to host the applications. Since they are hosting the applications, then what type of the technologies or what type of the tools they use in order to make those particular services up and running. And on the other hand, since we as an user, we use those particular applications, then what type of the browser options user have in order to access the cloud services. The technologies related to that particular concept, the accessing the clouds, we are going to look into this concept. The first one is platform. Okay, now if we answer to these two questions, then we can understand what platform is, right? How a cloud computing environment is delivered and how the cloud can be produced and presented. So in the platform, we try to focus upon how these particular services are hosted on the service provider side. What type of the computing environment they use, okay? How do they develop and present it to the user? What type of the technologies they make use of, right? The first one, we are going to look upon the web application frameworks and the hosting services and the proprietary methods. Okay, the first, the web application frameworks. Now here, directly I will move on to this particular diagram here. Okay, now just pay attention to this particular diagram and let me know what you understand from this. Take a moment and let me know what is your understanding on this particular diagram. Okay, can anyone tell me your perception on this particular diagram? What we may or what we are going to study as part of the platform here? The dynamic websites. Have you heard about dynamic websites?
Yes, sir.
Definitely, right? In web programming, you are studying dynamic websites.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What we mean by dynamic websites?
The website that changes its content every time you view it is different.
Yes. We no need to reload the entire website or a web page, right? Certain content in that particular web page can dynamically change, right? So that type of websites, we call it to be a dynamic websites, right? Then, can anyone tell me the advantages of dynamic websites over the static websites?
Sir, real-time information.
Real-time information. Okay. Anything else?
So look and feel of the dynamic website attract a lot of customers.
Yes, the look and feel does matter for the dynamic websites. If the websites are more dynamic, the content is more proper, then user will get attracted to that particular websites, right?
Sir, it can be updated easily according to the customer's requirements.
Yes, it can be updated, and the updates can be done without users knowledge as well. In the backend, the updates can be done so that the user is not disturbed of the updates which are running in the systems. Okay, so now here dynamic websites, what we are going to look as the frameworks. These web applications, the web hosting services, since all these services, the cloud computing services have to be hosted on the website itself, right? So the framework which we develop, we in the sense the service provider here, they develop, they makes use of certain web application frameworks. right? So which can support dynamic type of websites, right? And since we talk about the dynamic websites, then there comes the picture of certain libraries, right? These libraries are something like, you can think of a built-in functions of any particular programming language. Just to give an analogy, right? In the, suppose if you consider a C programming or a Java programming language, there are a lot of functions, the inbuilt functionalities. Whenever the programmer requires, they will make use of those particular inbuilt functions or the inbuilt methods, right? In the same way, for the dynamic websites, there are a lot of binaries or the libraries which are available, and these libraries are already written by somebody else. So the user, if someone wants to, some developer wants to develop a web applications for a cloud computing, they need not to write the entire code related to that. They can just make use of those particular libraries. They can just make use of those particular pre-existing all the libraries, and they can include their own content and create the dynamic websites, right? The one of the technology which we are going to study is Ajax, the web application framework is called as Ajax. Have you ever heard this word Ajax? We are going to discuss upon this particular term Ajax.
No, sir.
No? Okay. Anybody else? Aniket, Chetan, Ajay?
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
No? Okay. Now, the full form of Ajax is asynchronous JavaScript and XML. Okay, then let us do a activity here. Let us, shall we do an activity, a small activity? Only one topic is there, Ajax.
Yes, sir.
Now, in the first phase, let us try to find out some information related to Ajax. What Ajax is, what are its features, what type of the technology we use in the Ajax, right? The features of Ajax, what is Ajax, its technologies, and then the features what we use in this particular Ajax. In the next phase, we will try to see the advantages and its disadvantages, because this is a, for point of examination, this is also important for you. You may get a full 5 marks question, okay, wherein you need to explain about what are Ajax, its features in a couple of sentences, and then its advantages and disadvantages. Okay, now quickly try to search the information related to Ajax, then we will discuss it. Okay, we no need to make a groups here, since the topic is, we have only one topic. Individually, you can just try to look the data, and you can take 10 minutes of a time, and randomly in between I will ask certain students what they are looking for. Shall we do that?
Yes.
Natasha, try to find out the what asynchronous means in Ajax, why the asynchronous word is used, and what's its feature. Ankita?
Yes, sir.
So what you are looking at now, what information you have got related to Ajax now?
Ajax is not a programming language.
Okay, Ajax is a not a programming language. Then what it is?
Ajax is a set of web development techniques.
Yes, Ajax is a set of web developing techniques, right? So as I said earlier, WebAx uses a set of technologies, right? So Ajax is not a programming language. It makes use of the existing techniques and it binds it together in order to provide a type of a framework, right? When we say a framework, it's kind of a set of rules or set of techniques which we use in order to perform certain activities, right? These activities are going to be a really high type of activities wherein it does end-to-end supports. So what are the different types of technologies we use in Ajax? Can anyone find out what are the different techniques are used in Ajax? If you look into the full form of Ajax, you may get to know, right, what it uses.
CSS.
CSS. Okay.
HTML, XHTML,
Yes.
DOM, and JSON.
JavaScript, JSON files,
ASP or JSP.
yes.
Yes.
So basically, if you look, what Ajax mainly uses, it's JavaScripts and XML.
Sir, I think I found a flowchart or a working of Ajax.
Ajax, would you like to share the screen?
Yeah, sir, I cannot. I mean, I don't have the permission.
I will give the permission. 1 second. Try it now, Sanjana. Now, are you able to share the screen? Okay. Can you try to, if possible, can you try to just
Sir, is it visible? I mean, I
yes,
don't
it
know.
is visible for me. How about others? Are you able to see the screen?
Yeah, sir,
Yeah,
it is
yes,
visible.
Yes, sir.
Right now, it would be appreciable if you can explain or try to explain this particular diagram, if possible. This is very self-explanatory. These type of diagrams definitely you have studied or you have come into picture in web programming. Can you scroll little up? Can you scroll little up? Little up. How it works? Probably the beginning. Yes, yes, yes. The try it yourself we have, right? Just take into that particular example. Half a paragraph down. Yes, stop it here. Yes. Now dynamic web pages we have talked about, right? Now there is an example here. They have given an very good example for the Ajax working. Now there is a text. Let Ajax change this text. Now this is a backend. This is a front-end application where some content is hosted. Now try to visualize that this whatever the region is there, it is a website. You have opened it in a web browser, and this content is seen over there. Now, when we click on this particular button, change content, okay, the contents on this particular website will get changed dynamically. Dynamically in the sense, the web page will never be hosted once again. It will not reload it once again. The entire website is not going to be reloaded, but the only content in that will be get dynamically updated as and when the user interacts on its particular options, like when clicked on a button. Can you try clicking on this change content?
Yes, sir.
Now, when that particular button was clicked, we got a different content here. This is here, what has happened? The entire website did not reload it. Only that particular part of the website got updated with the another content. This usually we call it to be a dynamic websites. These type of things can be done very easily by using a Ajax. As I said earlier, Ajax is not a programming language. It uses a set of techniques which are already existing. Okay, so can you just list down what are the different techniques?
Yes, sir. Combination of a browser built-in XML HTTP request object, JavaScript and HTML DOM to display or use the data.
As the term says, Ajax, so it is what? Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. So the JavaScripts and the XML concepts are used, or the technologies are used in order to develop a asynchronously handle the data, which can get exchanged or manipulated between the front end as well as on the back end. Okay, you can take to that particular diagram, and if you can try explaining that concept, or anyone else, anybody else also can try.
So the browser creates an XML HTTP request object, and that is sent via internet. And then the server receives the HTTP request, processes it, creates a response, and sends back the same data again via internet to the browser. And whatever we wanted to update in that page, that will get updated.
Yes. So here, the focus we need to give it on the creating the objects, right? So here, object means the web pages. When we talk about an entire web pages, the web pages can contain a n number of objects. Instead of loading the entire websites or entire objects, we can only focus upon a particular object whose data we want to manipulate, or whose data we want to get it updated for. So what we can do is that using the Ajax, we can only request for modification of such an object and send it to the server. And anyway, this communication will happen through internet definitely, right? Once the request is sent to the server side, it will process that particular request and immediately send the response back. The response can be a positive response or it can be a negative response, depending upon what type of a request has been originated, right? So once the response appears, then the data related to that object will get manipulated. Only that particular object will get manipulated. That's how this is the overall concept of the dynamic web programming, right? Here, this example or this diagram, they are focusing upon the technologies which are used in the Ajax, like XML HTTP request. And on the other side, server side, the request is received as an HTTP, and then they are sent back to the browser. And the browser makes use of the JavaScripts in order to manipulate the data or combine the technologies. Did you get certain concepts here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me share my screen. We'll
Yes.
just see into few more points. Sanjana, can you give me hosting permissions?
Yes.
Okay. Meantime, anybody wants to put some details on the Ajax? Some points? Aniket, Chetan?
Sir, I found asynchronous means in Ajax.
Yes, Natasha.
It means that the script will send a request to the server and continue its execution without waiting for the reply. Ajax knows when to pull data from server because you tell it when to do it.
Yes, correct. Sanjana, can you make me host?
Yes, sir, I'm doing.
Go to the participants and next to my name, you get a more option. Yes.
Yeah, sir, I have done it.
Yes, good. Okay, now. Yes. If you can understand these terms, these are the technologies which are used in the Ajax, right? So we need something for the presentation. That particular presentation can be done by using the XHTML and CSS, right? And then data manipulation or data exchange is done over the XML and XSLT, that is extensible style sheet language transformations. And all these together, these both the presentation and the interchange or the manipulation of data can be done together by using the JavaScript. So here you may remember the full forms, because for 2 marks you will definitely get one of the full form which we use it in this unit number 2. There are few more terms, technological terms are there. Those full forms you need to remember. Here these are very simple. I think definitely you might have come across with these abbreviations in the web programming. XHTML, extensible HTML. I think XSLT is something new for you.
Yes, sir.
Right? Then the advantages are pretty simple, right? The thing which we have learned, it reduces the amount of bandwidth consumed by reducing the web page loading time. As the entire web page is not going to be reloaded every time, only the corresponding objects will get reloaded. So the overall data consumption by the web pages will definitely reduce. Think of a website and that particular web page, assume that if it requires say 5 MB of data to load entire web page. Okay, just try to visualize there is a website and you are viewing a particular web page in that. To load that entire web page, it may consume 5 MB of data, right? It has a lot of objects in that. If we don't use a dynamic programming there, if it is a static web page, then what may happen? If we want to modify a single object in that, we have to entirely reload the web page. Means there is a small modification of a say just a 0.5 MB of data. But in order to achieve that, we may end up in reloading the entire web page. That is again 5 MB data is consumed over there. Instead of that, if the application or the web page makes use of the concept of a dynamic web pages concepts, then we no need to entirely reload entire web page. Only a part of that can be reloaded. As we had seen in the previous example where when Sanjana was showing that particular website, right? When we clicked on that button, only the content of that gets reloaded. The other data did not modify anything, right? So it reduces the overall loading time. Also, it reduces the amount of bandwidth what it consumes it for. Then the second next, by doing that, okay. Now, as an advantage, we just talked about what the bandwidth consumption and the web paging loading time, right? So by doing that one, we will achieve one more advantage, is that the application which we are accessing will become faster. Isn't it? Do you agree with this particular point? When the web pages loads very quickly and the bandwidth, whatever it consumes is very less, in that case, does that particular web application act as a faster compared to the static web pages?
Sir, we can say it is efficient.
It's efficient. Efficient can also be a faster here,
Yes, sir.
right? Because we no need to load the entire web pages here. If suppose if the entire web page is getting loaded, then the time consumed by that could be more than whatever it takes for a part of that particular website to load it. So the entire web application is a faster. And by doing that, we will achieve one more point is that the connection to the web servers are reduced. Okay. Why? Because whatever the scripting files are there, the JavaScript files and other files are downloaded only once at the time of first time when the web page gets loaded. After that, there will no be connection between the connection in the sense there will not be again those web scripts or the JavaScript files will get downloaded. It just downloads once, and only the linking between the particular object with respect to the particular function call will take place there. Okay. I hope you know the JavaScripting, right? Have you done Java? Have you ever used JavaScripting in the web programming?
No, sir.
No, right? Okay. I will just try to show you just simple example of that, how it works in the next class. Okay. So connection to the server reduced here means, suppose whenever you load a particular website, web page rather here, if it is using a dynamic concepts, then there could be a JavaScripting files. You can say the necessity files which are required at the client side, right? In Ajax, definitely we are going to use something called as a JavaScripting, right? And we need certain style sheets. These particular files will be downloaded only once at the time of first time when the application loads. Once it gets loaded, as the entire web page consists of a different objects, right? They all are independent objects, and each of objects can communicate with the server separately or independently, right? The corresponding object, when it is called upon, when it is sending the request, only that particular object will call the corresponding function call to the JavaScript files, which are already downloaded. And the corresponding file will get, or the object content will get modified. So the other objects will remain there itself. So entire the scripting files or the style sheets which are required will be downloaded only once from the web server. Every time whenever the request is sent, every time it is not going to download the files from the server. Only one time the files will be downloaded. That is the meaning of the third point here. I will try to show you this. It is little difficult to visualize for you to understand. Let me try to show in the next class how it works. Okay, then do you think that there is going to be any disadvantages in the Ajax or dynamic program web content? Do you think that there are any disadvantages?
Yes, sir.
Like?
Like if the browser doesn't support JavaScript, then it will not work.
Very good. If JavaScript is not supported by the browser, definitely we can't use dynamic programming, right? Dynamic web hosting cannot be made use there. As Ajax makes use of JavaScript itself, then if JavaScript is not supported by web browser, then we can't use it. But nowadays, JavaScripts are used or supported by most of the web browsers. And also there is a flexibility that the user can turn on or turn off the functionality of JavaScript, whether to enable or whether to disable it. Okay. Apart from that, any other? Have you ever done
security issue?
Security issue?
As Ajax code is easily readable, sir, it has security issues.
Security issues. Okay, fine. Any other points?
So debugging is difficult.
Debugging is difficult. Yes, agree. The disadvantages of all dynamic web content holds good for disadvantages of Ajax. Now, think of a situation when you are trying to do online payments through the web browsers. You are trying to do online payments through the web browsers. Okay, suppose you are using a Paytm through the web browsers, and you just click on proceeding the checkouts or Flipkart or anything. Consider you just place an order. You are just trying to place an order Once you do a checkout, it will navigate to a corresponding banking website. Okay, then there you might have seen a statement, do not refresh or do not click on the back button. Have you ever
Yes,
seen?
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What is
Every time.
why that particular message is given there?
Because it is processing the information of what we are entering, and it is linking it with the banking server.
Okay, fine.
And if we go back to the main page, the linking of that page with the banking server will get disconnected.
Yes. What in one turn, in one word, we can say the content, the communication is happening between the client and server in the form of dynamic nature. Once the request is sent, and if we click it back, the client will lose what the request was for. The client is supposed to wait in that particular phase only until it receives the response from that particular servers. So, working upon the history in the Ajax, the web browsers, which are the websites or the web hosting services which makes use of the Ajax, becomes very, very difficult, because all the content used or is presented to the user is in the form of dynamic in nature. And have you ever tried to save the bookmarks of dynamic web content? Is it possible to save the bookmarks of dynamic contents? Even if we save, what may happen next time when you open that particular website, the content definitely is not going to be the same. It will vary.
Yes, sir.
Let me try an example. Nowadays, none of the buses are services are on. I'm not sure whether I get a proper results. So no buses, I cannot show. This is one of the bus ticket websites are one of the very best examples to demonstrate the dynamic web pages. Especially this website was one of my set to go type of example, but unfortunately the services are not running, so I can't show you here. Anything else? Aviation also may not work.
Sir, IRTC is train booking.
IRCTC train.
I have just forgotten the use password for this IRCTC. I have an account, but I have not used it for a long time. Anything else? Real time? Can I show you? 1 second. Let me think of. Okay. Let me try it out. No, not possible here also. Fine. Let me see if I can get some best example. Let's check. Now look at students here, this website. Now, do you think that this particular website is a dynamic? or a static?
So it looked like static.
It looks
Means
like
it will not change.
it will not change. It is a static. What about, how about others?
Sir, it is static unless the developer, I mean whoever is there, going to change the price of the mobile phone.
Okay,
Until then, it
Sir, but we can modify the quantity of the product.
exactly. Now, if I just click on this, if I added the one more quantity here, did you see that the price detail got modified,
yeah.
right? But here I am not loading the entire web page here. I'm not loading the entire web page. There is in backend. Okay, now we have a JavaScript file here. Okay, to give you a best one more time, let me show you here. Now what I did, this is a website. I clicked on this particular website. That link, it navigated to another website. When I say website, or rather web page, this entire web page got reloaded once again. Agree, right? Now if I click on this buy now or go to cart, let me click on buy now. Once I clicked on the buy now, it is sending certain JavaScript files. Okay, let me just do a click here, go to cart. So go to cart. What has happened? It navigated to another web page. It navigated to another web page. Now, this is the client side, and on the other hand, the server side, the connection will get established. To support this web page, it requires certain JavaScript files and certain style sheets. Style sheets in the sense how it is looking, the website is looking some way here. There are certain images, there are certain text, there are certain hyperlinks and all. There are certain buttons, right? This look and feel is given there. And at the same time, there are certain scripts, JavaScript files are available, right? Those JavaScripts are hidden here. It is not visible for us. We can make use of those JavaScript files. How? By clicking on certain buttons here. Now, if you can see here, when I click on this reduce button, that is the quantity, when I clicked on here, if you looked into the web browser, that is the address of the website, this page, it did not change. That means it did not even reload the entire page. So what is the advantage? It is not reloading, means it is not again connecting to the server and not downloading all those JavaScript files, and it is not downloading all those style sheet files. Rather, what is happening, there is an object. Okay, this minus sign or button what you find here, this is one of the object. So when I click on this object, the associated script will get run. It will call a particular function in the JavaScript. Okay, in turn, this request will be sent to the server side, and we get a details, we get a response. What is that response? That response get updated in the quantities. Here also we can see the quantity result and the corresponding details, right? These details will get updated. This is how the dynamically the web page is getting the information or sending the request. In turn, it is receiving the responses from the web servers. Here it is not every time whenever I make any changes in the objects here, it is not allowing the one more connection. In the same connection, whatever the files it has downloaded, it is just interpreting or working upon those particular scripted files itself. Okay? So this is one of the best example. You can take of any of the online shoppings or online booking. So all those websites supports the dynamic web contents, right? So in order to make use of these dynamic, suppose if you want to develop certain type of web pages, dynamic web pages, the Ajax is the one of the ready to go content, because it makes use of the available technologies. It just combines those technologies and then provides it us. Does it make sense, students, this explanation?
Yes, sir.
Even when I clicked on a checkout there, so it just allowed. Next, it has asked me to enter into the login and all these things. Again, this is a new web page here. This is a new web page. To get this new web page, it has to request the connection to the server. Then the corresponding scripts and the style sheets will be downloaded only once. Once that is done, to show upon the remaining activities here, it will not again get ask for a new connection. Whatever the files it has already downloaded, it will work on the same request. Okay. So that is all about on the disadvantages of the Ajax. The first one, browser history is not accessible, right? Browser history in the sense, suppose if you're trying to place an order, right? And suppose if we bookmark or if we close the web browsers and if we go back and try to look into the web browsers, we can't see the applications until and unless the cache is available. If cache is removed, then definitely we will not get access to those particular websites or web pages rather, right? The bookmark is a problem. And the last one is there are no standards in Ajax. Standards here we mean to say the testing principles for the Ajax, because it is just a collection of different technologies. So yeah, that's it on the disadvantages, students. Did you understand something on the Ajax? Because this is something very new to you. The thing is that in your cloud computing, we have especially this particular unit. They have given up a lot of technological terms or the concepts. But thing is that only brief information we are going to learn there. In detail is not there. In detail, they have not given. Because the concepts we are going to learn in this cloud computing subject is only limited to the theoretical approaches, no practical approaches. Making use of these technologies, the cloud computing services or the environment can be developed. Is that fine, students? Shall we wind up now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You